So we have Bakula Didi with us today. We are very fortunate to have her with us. She's from Germany originally, and she's been living in India for a long, long time in Vrindavan. Are you in Vrindavan now, Didi?
Yes.
How come there is so much light in your window? I was just thinking.
There's a lamp here. There is a lamp behind, and I'm just telling Janika, she gave me mercifully her Wi-Fi because my internet connection is very bad. So I'm here in her room.
I see the window behind. I thought, how come there's so much light there? There's sun outside. It's dark.
It's not the window, I think. No, this is the kitchen probably. There's a kitchen.
It looks like a window there, and there's a lot of light behind it.
Looks like this, yeah.
So as I was saying, Bakladi from Germany,
yes.
She was a doctor before. She was a naturopath and a trained nurse. She worked for some time. And then she met devotees in 1992. And she was very much attracted by the devotees. And then she met Gurudev and got initiated from Srila Gurudev in 1998. And thereafter, she's been living in Shridham Vrindavan. And now she's totally dependent on Srila Mercy and Lord Krishna. And her life is just like totally with Vrindavan Dham for so long. So she speaks good Hindi also, but not very fluent, but she can speak and understand. So we like to hear something in Hindi also, and then you can speak wherever you're comfortable in English or Hindi, whatever you want to speak. It's your choice. Welcome to the program.
Welcome, Hare Krishna. Okay, Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshulumilitam Nina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Panchakalpatarupyasya Kripasindupya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namaha. Ukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langaya Degirim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Sri Guru Dida Tarinam. So first I offer my unlimited obeisances until the lotus feet of my beloved Guru Dev Nitya Lila Pavishta Vishnu Bhad Ashtadala Shata Shishma Bhaktivinoda Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Shiksha Guru Nitya Lila Pavishta Vishnu Bhad Ashtadala Shishma Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj. All our Guru Varga, all Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis today here present in this program. So Prabhuji, I think you told me to start from the early time when I met the devotees, yes, to speak.
Yes, it is good you start from early times, how you were feeling, how you felt when you met devotees. What was your bent of mind when you haven't met devotees, what you were thinking, what you wanted to do in life, how you became a doctor, and then how you met Gurudev, how you changed your life,
everything you want to
how you're totally pulled by His mercy and now you decided to live here forever.
Okay.
All this great transformation in you, we want to hear how it happened.
So I have to zoom through my life. Okay.
Yes. So that we get inspired by what you've been through. And also we hear glories about Gurudev during the process.
Yes. So yeah, maybe then it's a good point to start when I finished school and was thinking how I can fit in this society, which job I want to, study, where I want to put my energy, what kind of service in this material, what I want to do. And it was at this time that I thought, old people, they have wisdom. And I always felt like I want to somehow connect with old people. I want to hear from old people. And the best thing to connect with old people is to work with them, like to become a nurse or to become like a medical inclined person who serves them. So, and then I became a registered nurse and I was working many years in different areas, in different hospitals. But somehow I was very frustrated because what I experienced was quite sad because many old people were frustrated. They were shouting on their children, they had diseases, and it was actually nothing I expected. And besides this, I saw so many sufferings in these hospitals. I saw many people dying, and it made me very, very serious and like searching. It made me a searcher, really, because why so much suffering and about death? The person is dying, light is going out of the eyes. Where's the light going? I was studying so many books about reincarnation and esoteric and like angel and healing. So many books I was studying because I wanted to find answers. And at the same time, I thought, I cannot do this my whole life because one day I was a very young nurse. 3 people died And I was going from room to room, and I saw, oh, you know, this suffering in this material is so much, and this I have to do my whole life. I wanted to actually never have felt so much attracted to allopathic. I thought I study medicine again, and then I open my own clinic, and then I can treat in the way I want. And there's so many wonderful methods. Naturopathic has such a very, very broad spectrum of beautiful therapies. So this was my desire. So I was working as a nurse at the center. I was studying, studying. And while doing this, I really was a little bit stressed out. And at the same time, I was somehow continuously searching, connecting with esoteric groups and listening to different like philosophies. And there was one Maharishi Mahesh Yogi at the time in Colonia where I was staying. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi is well known in India. I think many have taken initiation. So at this time, I met some disciples, and they told me, our guru is giving a very beautiful meditation. He gives a mantra, and this mantra has to be silently only remembered, not chanted, like we are chanting. This is Kali Yuga Harinam, we are calling out and we are doing Sankirtan, but this was a different kind of meditation. It was a light and sound meditation. So this light and sound meditation had to be done morning and evening, half an hour, and had to sit in one place and had to concentrate on this mantra. And then I did this for half a year. It was amazing situation. It was as if I was flying. Yeah, it was lifting me up, embracing me, giving me inside a feeling of being loved, and very, very warm feeling I had. And I felt, oh, something is coming, some spiritual realizations is coming. I was very happy. But the interesting thing was, after some time, this mantra didn't work anymore. It was funny, maybe it sounds simple, but I continued chanting. I even chanted 2 hours, but the result of this mantra, which was first very, very present, and I realized it very, very intensely, was not there anymore. At this time, it was Christmas. And Srila Prabhupada always instructed his devotees, especially this Christmas time. The people are suffering and the people need love and affection, and these books should go out, especially at this time. So in Germany, at the Christmas time, everywhere you saw devotees with stacks of books on their arms. And they were everywhere, they were giving out these books. And I was already a little bit annoyed because always these people came towards you and pushed these books in you. And I said already, no, I don't want, thank you. I have enough books. I know a lot. I have studied a lot, please. I don't need these books. Then, but Krishna's Maya is very, very tricky, because one day what happened, I went to one shopping center and one devotee came to me and he wanted to give me some books. And then I said to him, I don't need the books. I wanted to shout at him in the sense because I was annoyed. And then I looked at him and he was very beautiful. It was a beautiful young man, blue eyes. And I thought, Krishna's Maya arranged that I took a book from him. So I took a book from him and first I said, what is this about? Yes, he said, it's about mantras. I said, I know about mantras. They work for a short time and then they stop working. So because my experience was like this. But then he said, this is about a Maha mantra. It is the topmost mantra. You should read this book. So I took it and I put it on the bookshelf at home. At this time, my situation somehow I was getting a little bit more worse. I felt like very frustrated, and I felt like, what is helping in this world? Where is God? And like no real answers came to me. But one day then inside, sometimes maybe you also have the feeling that Paramatma is speaking to you. Yeah? He said, Paramatma, inside my heart, I felt inspiration to open this book, which I bought at that day. And then I opened this book and the Maha Mantra was described in detail in a very beautiful way. So I thought, okay, let me try this mantra out. It may help because I know the power which I experienced before of mantras. So I wrote down the Maha Mantra, and I also knew that this mantra should be repeatedly spoken, and not only one time. So then I was chanting this mantra and continuously chanting and chanting. And yes, it cannot be explained in words, but suddenly so much suffering was taken away, as if somebody has very, very much load on his shoulders, yes? And this I can explain in this way, that this load was suddenly taken away. It was an experience which was so divine and so on. And I started to think, and I thought, what is going on? Why is this mantra so powerful? And I started to read these books. And I continuously read these books, and then I understood Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this whole philosophy made so much sense because I grew up in Christianity. And Christianity is, and never fully to the root satisfied my inner heart. So then I was studying this book and I read Bhagavad Gita. Always a quote was Bhagavad Gita and quotes from Bhagavad Gita. So I had in my mind the whole time, Bhagavad Gita, I have to get the Bhagavad Gita. So I went out on the street, still marathon was going on. And a boy came and said, we want the Bhagavad Gita. So, and I bought the Bhagavad Gita on the street. Then I studied the Bhagavad Gita, and in the Bhagavad Gita, always looks from Srimad Bhagavatam were given. Srimad Bhagavatam says, Srimad Bhagavatam quotes. And I said, I need a Srimad Bhagavatam. So not to forget this word, I always contemplated Srimad Bhagavatam. I need Srimad Bhagavatam. While I was chanting whatever, because it's Kalpataru. This is such a wish-fulfilling name. It's like a wish-fulfilling tree, this name. Because then what happened, a boy came and he said, I have one set of Bhagavatam, only one set. So then I bought this set of Bhagavatam from a devotee from Abenteuer. He came this Christmas. And so amazing time I experienced, because then I only was diving into these books. I was studying Bhagavatam and I was reading 5 or 6 hours a day. It is like I wanted to drink. This was such a soothing philosophy, so complete and so satisfying. So at that time I was working, and I even quit my job. I didn't work full-time anymore. I worked half-time because I needed the time to study, to read Bhagavatam. And when I was reaching the 6th canto, where Ajamil Upakya was narrated, there was also something I wanted to share. Something very, very interesting happened then. There was one patient of mine. He was very, very sick. He was about to leave the body. He was with the lung cancer in the last stage. So, and he was lying on his bed. And one day I came to visit him, and the wife came and said, you know, something very strange is happening with him. And look, and we looked in the room, and he had his eyes open, and he was chasing away something which was not visible by us, but he saw something. He was full of fear and chasing away something which was not there. So in Krishna Reigns, at that time I was reading Ajamil, Upakya Ajamil Charitra, where the discussion is so beautifully given between the Yamadutas and the Vishnu Dutas. And we can imagine that something happened to him, and he saw some of these personalities, Yamadutas, at this time. So it was for me also confirmation. This is a philosophy which is true, which is full of reality. So it was amazing what I experienced at that time. So then what happened then in my life, then I continued simply working. I finished my diploma, and then I worked in a health clinic, and we were treating people naturopathy with naturopathic medicines. And then I was reading in Srimad Bhagavatam that association is very important, because everything what I explained until now was practically without the association. It was only through the power of the Naam and the books. So this, over a few months, I was practically living without the need of association, because the books were supplying and giving me so much satisfaction and nourishment. But when I was reading spiritual master is needed, and association is important, and congregational chanting, then I thought I have to go to the temple, because I was always a little bit hesitant. I thought I wanted not to join in any groups. I'm quite an independent nature. So I thought not to go to the temple. Maybe I can also practice at home. But I understood that spiritual master and association is so much important. So I started joining the temple and started attending the Sunday programs and everything. And I did beautiful Sunday, always garlands for Gornitai, and distributing prasadam. It was actually a very beautiful time. I was so much inspired. And especially I understood that this congregational chanting has so much more power even than this chanting alone. So I really very grateful of the time. And at this time, that different gurus, it was called zonal gurus. They took initiation. They gave their Harinam to the disciples. You know, they initiated. It was called zonal. this was not only you could choose yourself, it was like special parts, zones of one country, of one city. There were different gurus responsible, and they took then the responsibility and gave Harinam and Diksha. And my zonal guru, you can say it like this, was living maybe 50 kilometers far away. And I decided then to take initiation because I fully understood without guru, you cannot offer, without guru, everything is not fully complete. So then what happened after half a year, I heard the message that actually he married. So, and he left, but he changed his ashram. So, and at this time there was very much disturbance in this center where I was staying. And I also thought something is wrong. I want to go to India myself. I want to find out, because it seems to be something strange. It seems to be like a sectarian organization, but I know it's truthful. It is Hinduism. It is a religion which is practiced and which is definitely the absolute truth. There is nothing higher than this philosophy. So I went to India. And in India then, some devotees told me, you have to go to the Rup Sanatan Gaudiya Math at Sevakunj. There is one, Maharaj is Narayan Maharaj is his name. And then I went searching. First, I couldn't find it, but then finally, rickshaw brought me to Sevakunj, and I came to Rup Sanatan Gaudiya Math. I met Brajanath. Yeah, and then I met Brajanath Prabhu in 99. It was 98. And then I met Brajanath Prabhu, and Brajanath Prabhu said, oh yeah, we go with the bus tomorrow. We go to different pastime places of Lord Krishna. We make Vraj Mandal Parigama. You want to attend? And then I said, for sure, I want to attend. And then it was on this Vraj Mandal Parigama where I met Srila Gurudev the first time. And it is like, it was when I saw him the first time, I immediately felt that this is my Guru. Sometimes you feel like, oh my God, I met my friend again. Where has he been for such a long time? Sometimes you feel very, very familiar to somebody due to karmic or past life experiences. So with Gurudev, it was also like this. I thought, where has he been so long? Now I met him again. So this feeling of, there was, when I saw him the first time, no doubt that this is my Guru. And I will for sure take initiation. But when I was in India, I had only one more day left. Then I had to go back to Germany. So in India, I didn't take initiation. I went back to Germany. And then in Germany, he came to one program. And immediately I asked Gurudev then for initiation. And he also gave me initiation. And in the same year, even in Italy, then also Diksha, so merciful. Sometimes if you read that, the Vaishnavas are so much hankering and waiting, like Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada. He asked so many times, Gopishwaras Prabhu, or Ramanujacharya, 18 times he asked his Guru. Or Narottam Das Thakur, he asked Lokanath Goswami so many, many times. And we got it so easily because it's Kali Yuga, when Gurudev poured out his mercy. He poured out his mercy and he gave, can you imagine, after, in 1 year, a couple of months distance only, Harinam and Diksha, he gave everything. So then at that time, I was somehow thinking, what do I have to change my life? Because this feeling of situating, like getting married, opening a clinic, or being materially situated here in the West, that felt somehow so untasteful, so alien, but yes, it faded in. It was not interesting anymore. It left my consciousness somewhere because I thought we don't have much time anymore. And I want to be with Gurudev as much as I can. But at this time, I also have to add here that I was thinking like to marry, to settle down, to open a clinic, to help the devotees in this way. This was my thought, but like we think and Krishna desires in another way. Because this friend I had at this time, I was engaged, I was planning to marry. So with that, Gurudev came in my life. I had a confusion. I was doing, should I marry? Should I open a clinic? Should I travel with Gurudev? Should I go to India? I didn't know what to do. So Gurudev came to Italy. And then I thought, I asked Gurudev for help. But I didn't say everything. I didn't say everything. I said to Gurudev, I want to ask you something. Can you please help me? Should I go to India or should I travel with you? I have a little inheritance. I can spend it. what do you want me to do? And Gurudev, he said, you should marry.
Oh.
You should marry, he said. And I was really like very upset because I wanted to surrender and I wanted to show, my dedication to him. I want to be with you or in India. And he told me I should marry. It is again a symptom which we hear many times that Gurudev is Sarvakya. He knows everything. He looks at you. He sees what's going on. And with these words, he caused so much movement in my heart that I understood I have to change my life. And I went to my friend and I said, because he was devotee, but he also loved Jesus Christ very much. Actually, he had more love for Jesus Christ than for Krishna. And we had somehow long discussions. He went to many festivals, but his Swarup was, I think, more in this direction. He was a Bhakta of Jesus Christ. So by force, we cannot change anything. And then we understood, you go your way, I go my way, because we had to separate. And it was a very kind moment. It was not with anger, with anything. It was very, very conscious done and with very much affection. Then we understood we have to decide. We cannot go on like this. So when I decided to leave and not to get married and to dedicate and to follow Gurudev's words and to be with him as much as I can, then I felt so relieved. I felt free. And then I asked Gurudev in Kartik, Gurudev, can I come to India? Because this moment then, he understood, yes, I'm ready. And then he said, come at any time and you can stay as long as you want.
Wow, good.
And I asked him in Durvasa Muni Ashram. So, and then I did this simply. Some devotees came and I also thought, with this little money I had, I gave up everything in Germany and settled down in Vrindavan. And then when Gurudev came back from the tour, it was always so beautiful, so beautiful. So Chandika had the possibility also to go to Beja and to these festivals. I was touring with Gurudev only in Europe, but I heard all the classes and Gurudev has poured so much nectar, yes, over there in Beja. But what I got, I think, was also quite a lot, because when I was living in Vrindavan, then Gurudev showed me that some seva is necessary also. Gurudev told me once. So then I started to translate Gurudev's books. I started to translate Mana Shiksha and Mashiksha Guru and Dina Bandhu. And then at this time, the mud at Govardhan was built. Mm-hmm. And Shyama Didi was engaged in art seva. And I thought maybe I can also participate in this seva. And I showed Shyama Didi some of my work, and she said, yes, you can be in our team. And I always wanted to study art and do it. So Gurudev fulfilled all my desires. Actually, when I came to Gurudev, all my also earliest desires, which I still had in my heart, he fulfilled. So then I learned a lot from Shyama Didi. We did some line drawings. I assisted her, and many years we were at Govardhan in this project with the wall paintings, and they became very, very beautiful. And their calendars also we made from these paintings. And there was one incident which I wanted to share here, which also shows again that Gurudev is very, very special. Because one day what happened, it was went towards the end of this project. And there was much like time pressure, and we had to rush a lot, and there was very much service mood needed. So we were for hours and hours, we were painting and working there on the walls. And then one day I thought, I go to Vrindavan. I don't continue this. It's a little bit too much. And there was one other word, Vraja Vallabha, Krishna Vallabha. Krishna Vallabha, she also said, I go to Vrindavan. Maybe others can do this here, but I don't want to continue here. So then I thought, yes, we do this. We did enough seva here. Now I continue my translation peacefully in Vrindavan. No says nothing. So I already packed my luggage. And then the next morning I thought I go to the internet and check my mail. I wanted to see whether something has come. I expected something from my parents, some message. And I opened my internet, and there was a letter from Srila Gurudev. And Gurudev was writing, my dear beloved daughter, darling daughter, he always started like this. I'm very, very happy that you are working with Shyama Didi at Govardhan, at the wall paintings. I'm very, very glad that you're doing this seva for me, and you make this mud very beautiful. I couldn't imagine that this happened. I was really crying because how can Gurudev know that I was about to leave? So again, then I unpacked my luggage and continued his sevas, and I'm very happy and glad that I did it and finished this whole project until the end. So again, here we see that Gurudev wants us to be tolerant. Tumara Sevaya. It says in one slok, Narottam Das Thakur says that Tumara Sevaya, what is this song? It says like, actually, if there is some suffering in this service, it is the greatest happiness. It is the greatest happiness, and it gives very much purification, and we should not avoid. Always our acharyas, they speak about to tolerate, and for service and for Gurudev, how much our Guru Varga has tolerated, and we cannot tolerate a little bit. So this teaching I received from Gurudev while being there at Govardhan. So then Gurudev came then from the west, and we were always waiting for him in Mathura. And then these festivals were starting. Julian Yatra, Janmashtami came, Radhastami came, and then there was a little break before Kartik. And this little break, Gurudev always used to travel around in India and gave classes in Qatar and preached. Sometimes he went to Amritsar, sometimes he went to Noida, to Bangalore one time, or to Delhi. And we very quickly, always, Sarah Chandrika and me and other devotees also, we were quickly doing our tickets and following Gurudev. And before he was arriving there, we already invited many people for the program. And there was also a very, very sweet incident once. We were in Amritsar, and there was a park in which Gurudev then, he arrived, and he made always his morning walk around. He was walking around, and then he reached back to his car and drove home. So then we asked some people, you want to meet Gurudev? And we had some books also, you want to get a book? And these people there, it was interesting, very funny story actually, because they were always walking with these neem sticks, you remember? They had these neem sticks as a brush in their mouths, and were jogging around and walking. And I asked one man also, you want to meet my Gurudev? Because somehow or other, we thought if we received so much mercy from Gurudev by one glance only, maybe he can also give this to them. We are always thinking they all should get this mercy. We are trying to get as many people to what's Gurudev and to introduce them to him as much as we could. So, and there was also one man, he was interested. He said, he bought one book even, and he said, yes, I want to meet him. So Gurudev finished his parikrama and was about to come to his car. And then I introduced this man to Gurudev. And Gurudev, he looked at him. He always reciprocated very lovingly and sweetly. And he looked at him only once, and then his toothpick he had in his mouth, fell out of his mouth, because he was mesmerized by the power of this glance and by the loving affection he had. So this was also very, very, very sweet. So actually, this distributing of flyers before, and everybody then said, yes, for sure, we are coming. But how many people then finally came? Like a handful of people. But at least we did a little bit for Gurudev. And he was reciprocating in this way, that gratefulness, much gratefulness. I always felt that Gurudev was very grateful for what we did, although it was practically nothing. But being close to Gurudev somehow, in his association, we decided to do this little seva for him. There was also once when we went to Bangalore, one program in a very, very small building. And this building was, actually, I felt it is not fit for Gurudev, because Gurudev needs a big, big hall, with a throne-like asan. And he was invited in a very, very small building with a hut-like, and hardly anybody was there. This was maybe the program before the main program, and one sannyasi arranged it. And Gurudev gave me also very interesting teaching at this time, because I thought Gurudev will speak maybe here for 1 minute and then he will leave, because he is nothing, he is nobody, and he's nothing prepared for him. Why is he coming here anyhow? And my mind was already driving a little bit intense. I was already judging and judgmental. But Gurudev, he was speaking for 1.5 hours.
Wow.
For 1.5 hours. It may have been for one person. How I dare to say that he will leave after 1 minute. He was speaking and so wonderful. So Gurudev is detached. He is not dependent on a huge amount of people around him. You know, like Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada always says, we don't want thousands of stars, we want one moon. So maybe Gurudev saw, he spoke to even 1 or 2 persons who were present. I cannot say, but he did this. And he taught me again a very good lesson that don't be external. Don't be external. So Gurudev's mercy is simply unbelievable. He knows who is in front of him. Also, I remember just now when we were with Gurudev in Mathura and at the time of Yasa Puja, this was also so beautiful. I was always, for hours, I could look at Gurudev because the people were lining up and Gurudev was so merciful. Everybody could put chandan on his face, could put puja and flower malas around his neck. And Gurudev was sitting there meditating and suddenly he opened his eyes and spoke with somebody. So he's so much connected with the Paramatma. So he knew who is in front of him, who is coming. And yes, so everybody could, like, he was without any distance, without any distance, one could approach him very, very easily. So Gurudev told us once we should go from door to door, because like Haridas Thakur also, you know, I mean, with Haridas Thakur, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to Haridas Thakur, Nityananda Prabhu, you know, go from door to door. This message should be distributed. In the same way, I remember also this message. Gurudev told us, go and give these books to everybody, because this is the greatest welfare work at this time. And like, if you remember what I told about my life as in this material world, the desire was always there to help, but either on the mental platform, the bodily platform, but we cannot help anybody. We can only help if we give spiritual knowledge about the soul. This is the real welfare work. This is the topmost thing, actually, the topmost benefit that people achieve if they give a little few rupees for the book. And like I said, I have full faith that these books, even without a present Acharya, you know, they are very, very powerful. Gurudev's Vani, Gurudev's words in these books will be very beneficial for those who are reading and who are buying. Therefore, Gurudev said, go from door to door, distribute my books. And to everybody he told, preach, like Chara is preaching everywhere, and we do whatever we can. So Gauranga Mahaprabhu's mission is a merciful, a very, very merciful, very, very merciful mission. So I lived for 2 years in India, and I wanted to narrate also here one incident, which was also, again, teaching me very, very much, very, very deep. Whatever Gurudev told me or whatever he confronted me with, it was very, very profound and very, very deep. I lived for 2 years in Vrindavan, and the feeling came in my heart, I gave up everything, could it be? And some regret came in my mind. Oh my God, you know, some regret came in my mind. So Gurudev came back from the tour, from the West. And then I went to him in Mathura. I gave him a mala from Radha Damodar. And Gurudev looked at me and he said, did you screws? Means like you have a screw loose. Now, did you screws? And I was again thinking, contemplating, why is Gurudev saying this in front of everybody? Everybody heard that. He accused me like, why? And I was really upset with Gurudev. And then he mentioned, he was quoting one slok, Bandhu Sangha Yadi Dava Parihas, Ranga Parihas. And he was actually, from this song, he was quoting the last verse. He was saying, Semuti Nayana Heri, Kehe na hui ghare pere, Sangsari Griha Yeho Hoya Sarvanas. So he was quoting this slok. Actually, I couldn't concentrate because I was so much in pain about what he said. But with Chitra, she understood. She said, he was quoting from Bandhu Sangha Yadi Parihas. And I was reading this and I understood. Gurudev knew that some thoughts came in my mind of regret. Maybe I have left something and maybe have made something wrong. But Gurudev said to me, you know, this song, he indicated, if you once see Krishna, if you once connect with his devotees, if you once enter this path of bhakti, your material life is destroyed. So if you want to be in family life, then don't look at this Mathura vase. Yeah, this beautiful form in Mathura, who's standing there at the Ghat, at the Yamuna, at his threefold Tribhanga form, playing his flute, glancing very sweetly. So don't go there and look there. Otherwise, your life is spoiled. So, but always these teachings I understood later, after this incident was happening. So this is, I'm very, very grateful. And actually I wanted to be with Gurudev as long and as much as I could, because I understood he will be, because he was already quite in a ripe age, he will not be with us forever. And these moments I want to remember, these moments with him I want to contemplate on. This is my nourishment I have. What to speak if I'm once a year, I see him maybe on a tour, and then I continue my material life. So I'm very glad that Gurudev somehow, he helped me to come out of these clutches. It is not so that Maya is born, we are always faced, but like gross things we can give up very easily. I can give very easily up something externally, but we have still our abhiman, we have our anatas, we have everything which is still there, and this needs to be also given up very, very slowly, but gradually but surely. We have to give up so many things, not only a person. So, but at least Gurudev helped me to make the biggest step to come to Vrindavan. So this, I'm indebted so much to Srila Gurudev that he helped me and he nourished us. Still now he nourished us. And there's also something maybe I can later speak about, that Guru is a principle, is a tattva, and he's even in his non-presence here, he is helping and nourishing so much. So I asked once Gurudev, which seva you want me to do? Because I felt that I should maybe become more qualified, either in translating or in painting or in preaching or whatever, in distributing books. There are many things I made, but I didn't felt like I concentrate fully on one service. So I asked Gurudev, but I understood Gurudev is never giving one instruction. This was his nature. He's always indicating something, but he never says, do this, because he knows the fickle-mindedness of his disciples. If he gives this instruction and the devotee is not following, so what is the use? So Gurudev then said, what are you doing? What are you doing? When I asked him, what do you want me to do for you? And I told him that I started some translation work, and I have Shamahani Didi, and I distribute your books. And then I expected maybe some answer, but he said simply, I am happy. I am happy with what you do. I'm happy. So I understand at this time, it is not about what we do, how wonderful it is, or how expert it is. It is the mood in which we do something for Gurudev. We can clean, we always hear the temple. We can clean our heart while cleaning. We can, like Amrish Maharaj did so many services. It is not the quality or the service itself. It is the mood in which it's rendered. And it's also simply whether you really do it for Gurudev or for yourself or to get prestige or whatever, this is all also to be considered always. So Gurudev was happy with little services. It shows again, I didn't practically do anything for him, but he was simply happy. He was telling this to me, and this, yes, showed me also that we have to be simple. Simply, we have to become simple. I wanted to narrate one beautiful incident once in Mathura. This was very sweet. Mathura, Srila Gurudev went, he came from tour, went up in his room. And then after a few days, then he always went to Delhi. So he left his room, and usually always he came down, he circumambulated the Thakurjis, and then he went to the temple room, and then he went downstairs. On that day, he wanted to go to Delhi. Yeah, it was that day. And there were a few Mathura vases present. And there was one elderly lady, she wanted to give Gurudev a little donation, but she had like her bag. In the bag was another bag, and in another bag was a plastic bag, and there in the plastic bag, another plastic, and then he inside there a few rupees, and this note he wanted to give Gurudev. And it took time. It took really, like, I was thinking how long it takes. Should I help her maybe? And everybody was nervous. Gurudev wanted to go. Mm-hmm. So, but what happened? Gurudev was so undisturbed. Gurudev waited. And before she waited until this lady was finished with this activity to take out the 10 rupee note. It was a 10 rupee note. It took so long, but I was so happy to see this, because I also was working with old people, and I know that they need time and that you cannot rush them, and you know, everything is different if you're older in age. Especially this was, I think she must have been 80. And yes, so Gurudev simply waited and took this money, put it on his forehead, and then put it on in his bag. This was very sweet to see. So yes, once I want to narrate one incident during the month of Kartik. This was very interesting also, or very kind of mystical thing. And I already understood Gurudev is Sarvakya. He knows everything, what's going on in our minds. Because once Kartik is quite a very important time in the year, and then many devotees come from all over the world. We go to all the places. It was quite always very, very much activity was going on. And we were in Gopinath Bhavan at this time. Gurudev came out of his room. Then he went to Thakurji, played the basin suit to Thakurji, and then he went to the asam and sat down and started Katha. And I was always standing in the middle, had my spot here. And one day I was thinking, Gurudev, for I think 2 weeks, he didn't recognize me. He didn't look at me. He didn't, you know, sometimes mention any word to me, nothing. He was like dead. Gurudev is doing sometimes these little operations, like showing that you are not existing. So I had this feeling, my good Gurudev, everybody gets so much affection, everyone speaks with him, and he's not doing anything to me. And I really felt morose. Kartik was going on. So Gurudev, like I said, he came out of his room, usually went to Thakurji and went down, sat down in the asam. But when I had this deep feeling in my heart of not being recognized at all, suddenly what happened on that day, Gurudev came out of his room and straight towards me, looked at me, how are you doing? So again, I cannot understand what sometimes these Gurudev, yes, but how can he know that I have these thoughts in my mind? This is always this question that came, but we know that Gurudev knows everything. So he came towards me, went to Thakurji, and then went to the asam. So this day he made his rule, his route in a different way. Mm-hmm. So I was very, very, very relieved, because I understood, like, it is my mind and he always wants to teach me something, but finally Gurudev loves everybody, and let's simply be purified, because this is what we need. We need this loving affection and this purification also. And both. Gurudev was, like we always hear, all these acharyas, they are strong like a thunderbolt to remove everything which is there in the heart of the devotees, but they are also so soft like lotus petals, lotus flowers, roses, whatever they are. And we experience this with Gurudev, and this makes this Mahabhagavata, this capacity to guide the devotee. So when Gurudev was in Jagannath Puri, I went to see him in Jagannath Puri, where he performed his last pastimes, when he departed. I also wanted to share something here that I understand Gurudev is he was never controlled by anybody. I realized that he is, till the end, he wanted to give, because two situations happened there. That 3 days before Gurudev departed, he was on one balcony and he was sitting there for maybe 10 minutes, and he was looking out towards the ocean. And on that day, I saw there was a couple coming. Maybe I think they were an Indian couple, and they were approaching Gurudev and they were speaking to him. And although Gurudev was so thin and so weak, and he hardly couldn't move by himself, I saw that he turned towards them and spoke towards them, and as if he wants to, like he always did, as if he wants to give them all kinds of instructions. And he didn't appear to be sick or old. He was like full of Shakti when he interacted with this couple. So I saw until practically at the end, Gurudev gave, he gave, and he wanted to help his devotees. And 2 days before he departed, he was on the balcony on the right side. It was a little bit more close towards the shore. And there also I saw something very beautiful, because Gurudev sat down outside and maybe 2 or 3 minutes, because his condition was very, very weak at that time, for sure, because he could eat hardly anything anymore, the devotees told us. And then Bhajanath and the devotees who took so loving care of Gurudev, he didn't wanted him to sit too long, because it was a little bit windy also. And Bhajanath indicated to Gurudev, let's go in, let's go inside. And he lifted a little bit, he touched his arm, and then Gurudev said, no, I want to sit. So with very much determination, Gurudev decided what has to be done simply. He didn't want it to go in, and therefore he continued sitting for 15 more minutes. And we did some kirtan downstairs. Padmanabha, some devotees were there. So this, I remember very clearly, that Gurudev was even really, he was never controlled. He wanted to show that I know what I want. And if I want to sit here, then nobody can change my mind. Ajay Prabhuji.
Yes.
What is the time now?
You have enough time. It's only 8:30 now.
It's 8:30.
Yes.
Yes. Srila Gurudev, even in his non-presence, I wanted to mention also, can I do this? Or you want to hear more about Gurudev's Leelas when he was present on this planet?
No, you can speak anything, whatever you like. Just speak your heart out.
Yes. So when Srila Gurudev was already departed, I went to Jagannath Puri. And in Jagannath Puri there, Srila Bharati Math was present there. And in Jagannath Puri there was one Radha Yatra festival was going on. And this Radha Yatra festival was like always full. First Baladev comes, first Krishna comes, first Baladev comes, and then Subhadra comes, and then Jagannath is coming. So what happened on that day? On that day there was so much of actually always when Radha Yatra takes place, but especially on this day, there was extreme crowd, so that the little streets, side streets, where I was standing, they were also filled with people. So then when Jagannath started moving, all the people from the main street, they were pushing in the side streets. And the side streets where I was standing were also filling with people. And suddenly I saw that next to me, all the people were falling down. And I was also more or less stumbling and falling on another person next to me. And I saw that another person was falling on top of me. So it was quite, I thought like my life air is leaving me. I was really thinking that is my last moment. And I want to say only that at this moment, I thought nobody really can help me. Only Srila Gurudev can help me. Nobody can help me. Then I called Srila Gurudev's name and I called for Gurudev. And somebody, suddenly a man came, he was very, very strong and took my hand and lifted me up again. And I could escape from the situation. So I know that it was Srila Gurudev who came at this moment. So he is taking care of us. He is taking care of us even now here. And this is also when I was really very much yearning for some Shiksha Guru and praying to Srila Gurudev. And Srila Bharati Math was present here. I also had a dream in which Gurudev's face was interacting, was changing into Srila Gurudev's face. Bharati Maharaj and Srila Gurudev's face were more or less interchanging. They were like, you can say, merging into each other. So I had these two dreams in which I understood that Srila Gurudev is helping us here, and that when we take Svajatiya, Snikta, Sangha, then Gurudev's instructions are coming through that Vaishnava. So Gurudev confirmed so many things. And I have another incident here, which is quite funny, actually. I was doing a little bit tape seva, like I was audio seva. I was listening to some tapes, to some classes of Srila Gurudev. And when I was listening to some classes, I had my neighbor, he had found on the street a little monkey. And this little monkey was really helplessly, and he thought the mother died. And he took the little monkey in his house and was taking care of the monkey. And I also went to see the monkey. It was very sweet. And then I somehow, I said to my neighbor, I will come tomorrow again and see how a monkey is doing. And on this day was Ekadashi. And I was thinking, I make some tape seva before, and I listened to some classes of Srila Gurudev. And in this class, which I was listening on that day when I decided to look again what the monkey is doing, Srila Gurudev spoke about attachment to all kinds of things. And at the end said, some people even have attachment to monkeys. Srila Gurudev said this. So they have attachment to monkeys. And when I was hearing Srila Gurudev, I never went to this neighbor again. Because I understood, attachment can go in all directions. It can go in all directions. Even if I'm now white, renounced, whatever it looks like, I'm detached. But there's so many layers and so much. So therefore, what I told before, I feel like this guidance of Srila Gurudev, even now in his, time of not being with us anymore here in his physical presence, Gurudev also said, I closer to you than the air you breathe. So many instructions he gave. He already prepared us before that we should have this nishta that he will take care of us under all circumstances at any time. Yes, so what else is to say? I'm just looking here what I wrote more. When Charachandika and me, we were distributing the books in Delhi especially, and introducing people to Srila Gurudev. I'm sorry, I'm switching now again to Gurudev's presence, but presently it doesn't matter. Yeah. So Srila Gurudev then was in Delhi, and we had a few devotees who were very interested, and we introduced them to Gurudev, and some took even also Harinam. And one day, I invited a couple of people, but nobody came on that day. Nobody came. I think I called 10 people. And they told they were very interested, but nobody somehow popped up on that day. And Gurudev was already coming out of the temple room. And then Charachandika, she had invited also, I think, 4 or 5 people. And these devotees were, the people, they were all coming. And they were standing there, and she was introducing these people to Srila Gurudev. And it was very, very, very nice to see, but I felt so useless because all my contacts I called, nobody came. I felt so useless, and I felt so sad. And at this moment, Gurudev looked towards me and indicated with a glance, don't have this mood, external things are not so important. So I felt Gurudev was purifying us on all levels. He understood our moods, he understood our weaknesses. Also one day on one parikrama, there was one devotee from Germany, and he was a little bit, he had not so much faith. He was an impersonalist actually. And somehow or other, Srila Gurudev, that was at Sarabhikund, he approached Srila Gurudev and asked him a question. And this question was very improper somehow. And Gurudev smashed him. He gave him, what is it called? A slap. He gave him a slap. And I understood how, actually first I was shocked to see my Gurudev acting in this way. But then later on, when this devotee told, this was so beautiful. I got slapped by that personality, by a Mahabharata. I got slapped, and he was dead. He was so much in joy, and he became a devotee also later. I understood whatever Gurudev is doing, even if it looks for us confronting or like a little bit shocking. It is all perfect. And this is actually what I also realized when, from the beginning until like the end of Gurdjieff's pastimes. I was practically like 10, 11, 12 years around and associating with Gurdjieff, having association and breaks in between. But again, then, especially for the Kartik time and for Navadip Parikrama and all this Julnyata and all these festivals, there I had his association. Everything I saw, be it Rupa Goswami's conference in Rup Sanatan Gauriya, how we dealt with all these sadhus and saintly persons in Vrindavan with so much respect. Everything what he did was perfect. I couldn't find anything. And I'm really somebody who quickly and easily finds faults or weaknesses. But in Srila Gurudev, I couldn't see anything. So such a perfect guru is very rare to find. And Narottam Das Thakur also, who says in one prayer, but the disciple must be also perfect. So I'm so sad that I am not perfect. So it will take some time, but at least like when I met Gurudev, I felt now again, I have his association. That will be life after life, this mood. Because Gurudev says, wherever you stop in your spiritual progress, I will be again with you. You know, I will pick you up, I will guide you. And this is what he's promising. And this promise he did, and he told us that he is taking this responsibility for our soul's welfare, for our Atma. Yes, maybe Ajay Prabhu, I think I would maybe stop here now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a few things. First of all, you said you're doing translation. So what kind of translation, from which language to which language you're doing?
Oh, this from English to German, or Hindi, English to German. I started some translation.
From Hindi also you're doing?
Yeah, I have always then also the Hindi book next to me. Huh? I have the Hindi book also. Now this Bhajan Rahasa, which I'm working already many months on, I want to finish, because in between there's always some art seva, some painting I did for some Spanish publication, or some book distribution. Like again, I do many things, and I know that Gurudev told me I'm happy. So in this way, I don't focus on something only. I know. Oh, there is one also very nice thing. I just remember when we went to Bangalore, and there we came from a book fair before, and we had displayed Srila Gurudev's books there at the Delhi book fair, and many people came and looked and bought, and we made beautiful pictures. So when we came to Bangalore, then we were thinking, oh, we are showing a slideshow to Gurudev, you know, where all the beautiful pictures are there from this book fair, because Gurudev always asked how many books were sold and how many people he loved when these books were displayed. So I went in his room, and I could show him all the slides. And Gurudev was so attentively looking, so much, and he was with so much attentiveness. He was studying these pictures. And then when I finished, there was, I think, 20 slides. And then he looked, and he simply said, thank you, thank you. So this thank you was coming from deep inside, because always he pronounced, and he focused on my books, and this will save the world, and they should be for the future. We know. I don't have to go in detail. I'm not saying anything more. Okay. And
one more thing. Which year you came to Vrindavan for good?
Oh, I in 2000 actually. I had all my things, and I moved here. Before I was coming for Parikrama, then I went back to Germany. I continued even working, and then gradually I moved here.
So yes. From 2000 to 2010, 10 years you associated fully with Gurudev.
Yes.
Very nice. And you were a painter already before, right? Before meeting Gurudev, you were painting already.
Painting, yes. Somehow my whole family, they are all kind of inclined to art. My sister is a graphic design. She studied. She's very famous actually also. I could paint. I always loved painting. I did some studies even in schools, but somehow or other, yes, it didn't become my job. But when I came to Srila Gurudev and Shyamahani Didi, Seva, Manjari Didi, I learned a lot from them, and I'm not like them, but I do a little bit service, whatever I can do. Yes. No.
What is she saying?
Whether Saru asked whether I can show some paintings, but
yeah, I wanted to ask also. Yeah.
But this is not this place to show my paintings.
No, we can see. We can know about you, what Yes, you can show if you want. It's nice to see.
I can show. I can send you. Yes, I will send you whatever I have done. Yes.
Let everybody see. You can send me on WhatsApp. I can share with on the screen.
Now I have no access now.
Okay.
I have no access now. I can do it later if
All right.
you want. Yeah.
So today it was really nice hearing Didi speak so many very, very nice things, and a lot of good teachings in Gurudev's Leela, which she had with him. She started with saying how she wanted to be old people because they have wisdom. But then she very soon realized it is not always true. Age does not mean wisdom all the time. A lot of people just age without any wisdom. In fact, most of the people do like this nowadays. And so she was very disappointed when she stayed with them. She saw so many sufferings, people dying every day. One day she saw 3 people dying. And then she started wondering why so much suffering. Just like Buddha, he also had the same Siddhartha. He saw suffering and he woke up. So people who wake up by seeing suffering are, I would say, very lucky. A lot of us just keep seeing and nothing happens to us. We don't even think. We are still sleeping most of the time. We see suffering all around us, but we think that it's never going to happen to us. But it is coming anyways to all of us. So people who think about it and they wake up and then they start finding solution, they are very intelligent. So she met Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. He was very famous that time. And the process he gave is called TM, Transcendental Meditation, I think, right?
It's a meditation.
Yeah. I also read some books about him when I was young. He said he used to go to basic of thought, from where it originates and how it comes up. Everything comes as a small thought in the mind.
Yes.
So you found something there when you started chanting those mantras, but very soon it disappeared. And then it is very surprising that Christmas was the day when you found those books for the first time. And today is also Christmas. You are speaking about all these things. So what a coincidence.
It's a coincidence.
Yeah. Yes. So you found those books on the people selling on the road on Christmas Day. And you didn't want those books. You said, I know all about mantras. I know them. They work for some time and then they vanish. They stop working. But this was Maha Mantra and it worked really good for you. It's still working, I think. And when you started doing Maha Mantra, you described, and I want everybody to note this, what she said. She said, a lot of load was taken away from my shoulders. She felt light. So this is the power of Maha Mantra. All the stress will slowly go and your life will become smooth and smooth. And then you saw quotes from Bhagavad Gita. Then in Bhagavad Gita, you saw Bhagavatam. So you started reading all those books, 5-6 hours a day you read. And then this also very nicely described how you were reading Bhagavatam about Ajamil and you saw a patient moving his hand as if he was trying to escape something at the time of death, which immediately gave you confirmation of what you were reading in Bhagavatam, how the Yam Doots came and the Vishnu Doots. So you correlated those practical incidents in life, which you saw in front of your eyes. And God made such a beautiful timing that you're reading the same topic that time and it happened in front of you. So that gave you firm belief that there's nothing higher than this Hindu religion, which is very true actually. It is absolute truth. Hinduism is absolute truth. That's why it has been there for many, many years. It's called Sanatan, which was always there, is there, and is going to be there. It is Sanatan. So you decided to come to India and find out more about what it is, Hinduism. So you came to Rup Sanatan Gaudiya Math. So this is the seat of, I would say, Hinduism. If you want to know it in pure form, and when Gurudev was there, it was available in abundance. Everybody came to that place from so many places. And everybody was very happy to be there to find that peace and what they were looking for, they got it there. And your first meeting, you described nicely that how you thought that this is my Guru for sure. And as if you knew him before, maybe your previous life, you must have you must have met him already, yeah. And this is also really nice what you said. I have to change my life. We don't have much time. I have to be with Guru as much as possible. What a beautiful thought. If we can get this thought, like what you have that time, our life will be really successful. I will have to change my life. We never think like this. We are going on and on and on with the same things years and years. We never think that I will have to change my life. We don't have much time. We don't have realization of this thing also. We don't have much time. We think life is going to be like this, merry all the time. But no, we don't have much time. Whatever time is there, we should use. And I have to be with Guru as much as possible. This is the thought which all disciples should have. And you did exactly that. And then thoughts of marriage came to your mind, but Gurudev saved you when you came to Gurudev. And then you soon realized some seva is necessary. Yes. Gurudev used to say, all must serve. Without service, there's no life. Just by reading philosophy, keep reading, nothing will happen. We have to serve, all of us. And then you started serving, you started painting, and you said all your desires were fulfilled when you came to Gurudev. What you always wanted to do, you always wanted to paint, everything was fulfilled. So Guru is like this. He is Chintamani. He will fulfill all kind of desires and you'll be happy forever. And then you said he wants us to be tolerant. Suffering in service is good. Yeah, if there is any suffering which comes because of service, this is really good for us, and we should tolerate that suffering. It is good for our growth in spiritual life. And you described about the Amritsar incident. Did you go to the Golden Temple with Gurudev?
Yes, we went to the Golden Temple. Yes.
Yeah, I saw a lot of his pictures in the Golden Temple. I think twice he went.
Yeah, I must have gone.
Yeah, and you've been to Jammu also with him?
This year, no, I didn't win because I was Radhapati, she was sick, you remember? Yeah. I couldn't go this time. No, I didn't go. Yeah. I think they also told the lady should not go. At this time, they said it was too dangerous.
Ladies yeah. That time there was a bomb blast in Jammu and a lot of things were going on.
Yeah.
And then you described about Bangalore program in a small building. Gurudev never thinks about external things. You understood that day that he was speaking for an hour and a half in just front of few people. He knows what kind of people are sitting in front of him, what they need. We only see how many people are there, that's it. We don't know what kind of people we see, how many externally we see. So you understood that don't be external. And then you were 2 years in Vrindavan and you had some regret, you were saying. But Gurudev immediately understood and corrected you immediately. Bandhu Sangha Yadi Hai Parihas. If you want to enjoy your life with your family members and friends, never go to Vrindavan. And if you go to Vrindavan, Gurudev used to say, never go to Kesi Ghat. And if you by mistake go to Kesi Ghat, never look at that black boy in his eyes. If you look at him, you are gone forever. You can never enjoy your family people and your friends in material life again. I think it already happened to you. You can see it. You're gone forever. You saw in the eyes of the black boy, it seems. And this is the most important thing I found, what you said today. It is the mood with which we do service. It is not the quality of service. Whether you do for prestige or for what you do. A lot of people do a lot of services, and it seems that they're doing a big job. Mm-hmm. But you find that some are doing only to get Gurudev's wealth, whatever he has, they want to acquire that. Some want to acquire name and fame for themselves. They do big things for Gurudev. Outwardly, it looks they're doing very big service, but actually that does not have much value if it is not meant exclusively for Gurudev. It is meant for yourself. Then you are actually it is sense gratification, sort of, because you're doing it for yourself. You want to enjoy that. So when it is only done for Gurudev and you are happy doing that service, you don't need anything else. You don't need your name or fame or any money or anything for it. Then it is actual service. So Gurudev told you, you're doing good. Even though you thought that you're doing very little service, but that service has a very beautiful thought behind it. So Gurudev is happy with that. And then even if you're doing very big service, but our thoughts are not pure and mood is not correct, then Gurudev is not very happy with that because it is not pure. So That is very important. I think we all should learn to do the service in correct mood. First of all, we all should do service and then in the correct mood slowly. Then you describe how 10 rupee note Gurudev waited so long patiently for that lady. He was opening bags and bags and bags, one after another. So how patient he was. It is not the 10 rupee note he was looking at. He was looking for her love, with which she's taking out that note for Gurudev. I saw that always in Mathura. So many old ladies used to come. They will come with a small milk can in their hand, and they'll give very little things to Gurudev. But they all of them will give something or other. Some will get some small stuff, and Gurudev will take them with very lovingly from everybody, and he will talk very sweetly with everyone.
Yeah, the Mathura Vasis. He had so much love for all the Mathura Vasis.
Yes, all the ladies and everybody. Yes,
amazing. Yeah.
And even those people had so much love. They were not very rich, but they will get very small gifts every day. Somebody will get small this thing, and he will very nicely take from them, reciprocate.
Yeah.
And this is also very nice. You said. Yeah. After some time, he started ignoring you, and this he did with almost everybody who came to our program. A lot of people describe like this. So first, he will love you so much, he will talk to you, and suddenly he will not look at you. He will walk around you as if you're not even there. And then when you started feeling inside, then he came straight to you and asked, how are you doing? So you said we need loving affection and purification. We need both. So sometimes Guru will give loving affection and sometimes he will give purification. He will be angry, he will chastise. So we need both of them. It is described very nicely that Guru is like a kumhar, the person who makes the mud pots. He will hit the mud pots really hard when they are soft, clay is soft, but he will always keep the hand inside so that they don't break. So he's supporting as well as hitting hard from the front. So those who see, they see, oh, he's hitting so hard, but actually he's keeping his hand inside. So Gurudev will keep loving affection inside hand, and outside he's purifying you by hitting hard, because we need both of them. Both are required. And then you describe how when he was doing sickness pastime, he was actually not sick. He woke up when required and talked very energetically. Like 3 days before his departure, you described a couple came and he spoke so nicely to them. He wanted to give whatever he can in that time. So he said he always gave till his last breath. His whole life was for others, and he was always giving. And then 2 days before you describe how he wanted to sit, he was adamant, I want to sit more here. Yeah. So, and you describe about Bharti Maharaj, how in the dream, he say change faces. Like you saw Gurudev sometimes, you saw Pujpal Bharti Maharaj sometimes, indicating that he is your Siksha Guru now. He'll give instructions. You want to say something? If you remember something, you can speak in between.
No, I was only thinking that other devotees also had this kind of dream or kind of realization about Gurudev and Bharti Maharaj being not different from each other. So I think some devotees told me personally, I don't mention names now, but this is not only me. This is also others had this experience.
And you said we have many layers of attachment. A lot of layers have gone, but a lot of layers are remaining. Your ahankar is very sukshma, very, very minute, and it is taking off one layer by layer. But it is good that you're realizing the layers are getting off. To understand that some layers are remaining and some are off is also a very high stage of bhajan, I would say, because people don't even know that they are under the layers. So many layers they are wearing over them. But when you start seeing that how many layers you have and how many layers are off you and how many are remaining, it is a very high stage of realization, I would say, that you are understanding where you are in your bhajan. So you talked about that, and you also spoke about how you called 10 people, nobody came, and how Charu Chandrika Devi called 4 or 5 and all of them were there. And Gurudev was so happy, and then you were feeling a little down. But Gurudev told you, do not worry, don't go about external things. And how that devotee got slapped and he was jumping in joy, you were like a little bit not thinking how my Gurudev is doing this, but the devotee was very happy. So Gurudev is, at the end you said very nice thing. He's always perfect, whatever he does. Even if he hits, it is perfect. If he loves, it is perfect. Because he's a Siddha Mahatma, he's Mukt Mahapurush. So they, whatever they do with full knowledge, with full attention, and it is always perfect. So our Guru is always perfect. Whatever he speaks, all the words are just perfect, and they should not be changed or interpreted in a different way. It's just perfection. Yes, you want to say something? I thought.
No, I don't want to say.
Okay, no. So it was really nice.
Okay, thank you so much.
Having on program today. We thank you so much, and I offer my pranams to you. You're doing a beautiful bhajan. We hope someday we can do like you. We can surrender fully ourselves like you have done.
I'm really sorry because I'm not used to this program. So maybe you felt my nervousness, or I'm not a good speaker anyhow. So I'm really sorry. But thank you that you hosted me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being with us and sharing such a nice thing. And I thank all the devotees who have joined today. And I announce to all of them. Tomorrow, I'll just announce tomorrow's program. Tomorrow 7:30. Oh, tomorrow is off. Tomorrow is Sunday. So we're going to take one day off tomorrow. And on Monday, we'll have some very nice devotees speak about Gurudev and Pujapad Vaman Maharaj, because their tithi is on Tuesday. So we'll celebrate on Monday evening. Thank you. Shri Guru Maharaj ki jai. Devotee Vaishnav Vrand ki jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrand ki jai. Shri Hari Naam Sankirtan ki jai. Bakula Didi ki jai. Charu Chandra ka Didi ki jai. Gaur Pramanande Hari.